Built up.
What's that?
No one else doesn't like that.
Probably not supposed to. Different house.
Get out of here quickly.
7:30. Do you think that's a possibility?
What's that?
7:30.
Yeah.
All right, good.
It's not. I don't know about the 97. Yeah. I think
Everybody, please rise. Call the meeting to order. First, we have the prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in this decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessings on all of those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. We'll now do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council Conway.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Council Kennedy.
Here.
Council Leahy.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Milanazzi.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Mayor Samaras.
Here.
Council Cirillo.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. First, we have the minutes of the city council meeting of January 29th for acceptance. Need a motion to accept, place on file?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded by Council Cirillo.
Mr.
We now have
Mayor.
a moment of silence.
Sure.
Council Leahy.
Thank you. I'd like to have a moment of silence in honor of Philip S. Maloney, 65, of Hampton, New Hampshire, formerly of Lowell, Mass. Phil passed away Friday, January 25th, with his family by his side. He was born in Lowell, December 18th, 1953, son of the late John and Mary Murphy Maloney. Phil graduated from Lowell High School, class of 72, and from Essex Agricultural School with a degree in forestry. He shared 45 years of marriage with his beloved wife Susan Linehan and celebrated 33 years of marriage last November. In addition, he leaves behind his daughter Molly. He'll be sadly missed. And one more, I'd like to have a moment of silence for George D. Kula-Harris. George D. Kula-Harris, 54 of Lowell, member of well-known Lowell family, died unexpectedly Sunday, January 27th. Born in Lowell, Mass., May 26, 1964, he was the son of Janice A. Kula-Harris and the late James G. Kula-Harris. George attended Franco-American School, class of 1978. He was a graduate of Bishop Girton High School, 1982. He attended the University of Lowell, was a graduate of Newbury College in Boston, majoring in culinary arts. He would be sadly missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Please darken the chambers. Thank you. Next, we have communication from the city manager, motion responses. First motion response is inspection of city pedestrian signs by Council Cirillo and Council Kennedy. Council Cirillo.
Hi, yes, thank you. I think that the motion response was excellent. Thank you for the list. And I'm good with it. Thank you.
Council Kennedy. All set? Madam Manager, any?
No, I think the report gave the inventory of what we do have and also illustrated some of the things that need to be done, and we're looking for funds and possible interns to complete a more complete inventory and are working with MassDOT if there are any repairs that are needed, so.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, yes, Council Leahy.
Question. Can I ask Natasha, the city traffic engineer, a question on this? Is she gone?
She's here.
Okay. So just a question on the school ones. Are the school ones in this too?
No, but I do have an answer for you with regards to, you were asking about why they flash all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I talked to the city electrician about that. Some of them are older lights and they're not programmable such that so that they could just flash at certain hours. The other problem, I guess, is that some Wednesdays are half days, and in order for them to flash only during drop-off and pickup on half day, they would have to go to each school on those Wednesdays and change the flashing timing manually. So I don't think. I think he was going to try and figure out if there was a solution to not having them flash all the time, but I think preliminarily he didn't see a solution.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you.
sure.
I think, through you, the manager, I think I'll put on a motion. This will be a good thing to, we don't have to obviously do it immediately, but this would be something for 4 or 5 years down the road to update those school
Yeah,
lights.
the infrastructure and the lights.
Yeah, so they're programmable.
Okay, thank you.
All set? Thank you. Next, we have trees at Leroy Garage. Council Cirillo.
Hi, yes, thank you. I was very happy to see that the cherry blossom trees are going to be planted in the spring. So thank you.
Any further? Thank you. Next, we have motion for response. We got the manager, Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to see that there is a plan in place to develop the restoration process. The restoration process will begin in April or early May. The completion target would be for October. I'm glad that the city is being amenable to allowing a little at a time of the statues to go to just down the street there. I know that everything will be taken care of by the youth build themselves to restore each statue to its beauty. I want to thank Councilor Conway for his $100 donation towards the paint. I donated myself, and the money that I had for the manger itself, there was only like $106 left, and I donated that as well. So hopefully that would be enough to start them off. I hope I don't have to come back and ask for more money, but they're going to do a great job to restore it. When we have something like that that's so beautiful and it's our tradition, it's always nice to try to refurbish it, and that's what they're going to do, and I'm very grateful to Youth Bill for doing that. Thank you so much, Madam Manager, for being so amenable to them.
Thank you, Counselor. And Henry Marchand has been in touch with the Youth Build Coordinator as well as the artist who is going to oversee the Youth
The
Build.
Zaghetti, yes, thank you so much.
All set. Thank you. Next, we have informational reports from the city manager, inspector staffing and inspections. Madam Manager.
Yes, there was a request made, I think it came via a subcommittee, to report on the number of inspectors, both building and health inspectors, number of inspections that are done. So there is a report in the packet from Mr. Slagle that sets forth our current staffing in terms of inspectors, as well as on an annual basis, the number of inspections that they conduct. And Mr. Slagle's here if anyone has any questions.
Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I don't know, maybe it might be for you, so through you to, to the manager. The part about the information about the zoning board, planning board, and the boards, it just mentions board enforcement agent. But, so last night at the Pawtuckaville neighborhood meeting, a couple of questions came up. Are the boards required to do any type of training or continuous training every?
Training for the board members or for
Just so
the,
they know what they should be focusing on and what their job is, and just to keep
for the
everybody
members.
focused. You know, we don't want to appoint people and direct the board. We want it to be
Correct.
fair, but they have to know what their job should be.
yeah, Mr. Slagle, perhaps you can answer. As far, once they're appointed, if there's an orientation that they're presented
Well,
or,
this is something that Pawtuckaville Citizens Council has brought up. I think they brought it up in the zoning subcommittee, so we are looking into working with the citizen planner training to have an open training session for them regarding the specifics of 40A and for the planning board and the zoning board and for the Wetlands Protection Act. We do request that members of the Conservation Commission do take classes with the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissioners, and that kind of informs them. There are lots of different classes in that group puts out, from the board meetings themselves to the jurisdictional issues. So we've heard that concern, and we are working to put together some sort of training for
I
them.
mean, we do take the ethics.
Right.
And they do that. They do take that too. They're required to take those ethics.
And every so many years, or?
The same schedule that the city councilors are required to take it, and the staff at the city are required to take it.
All right. Okay, because, and I had something that was sort of related, but I'll get back to that. I saw something on the zoning board last night, and it was, there's a house over, or a petition to build a house over on Jewett Street, and they're way short of the required square footage. And I'm just wondering why something like that even gets on the agenda when you're really short.
Mr. Slagle, can you answer?
Right, so they have the right under 48 to petition for a variance. So they are petitioning for several variances, and they go before the zoning board. It's February 11th is the date
Yeah.
that they go before the zoning board. I had a conversation with Amory Page from Centerville about it today, so the neighborhood group is aware of it. It's their right to petition. The zoning board also has the right to say
So
no.
even if you only had 1,000 square feet and the
Yeah, if
requirement
you-
was 7, you can get on the agenda?
You can request it, and that's the key. And I will note, just not in support of that petition, but that square footage is consistent with the properties along that street and along the adjacent street. Those are all very small properties. This one happens to be it was two old lots that somebody owned. They put a house on one and put a garage on the other.
Right.
So they want to take the lot that they put the garage on and turn it into a house, and it's no longer legal, so. But
right.
they have the right under 40A.
Okay, thank you.
We have Councilor Conway and Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Conway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Eric Slagle. Where, just for clarification here, where it says in the first section, the building inspectors, there's approximately 9,000 to 10,000 inspections and so forth, goes down to the health inspection, 45 to 55, and then down to board enforcement of 15 to 2,000. That's how many that are done each year, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, does that mean that, are there others that have not been done, these inspections, or is this, I mean, are there only 9,000 to 10,000 that we have to inspect, or are they actually 15 or 20? I mean, how many are we getting to? Does this signify 100%?
Well, so there are different types of inspections that these fall under. The building and trade inspections are typically inspections that come from new construction or rehab of existing buildings. When you pull a permit, if you want to get an occupancy, you're required to have those inspections.
Right.
And we do all of the inspections that are required as long as the contractor calls us to do them. If they don't call us, we do have a follow-up program. But typically speaking, a property owner wants an occupancy, and so they or their contractor calls us to
All right, so in other words, what you're doing is you're inspecting everything that needs to be inspected for the building commission, and also, would you say the same thing goes for the health inspectors too?
So the health inspectors are different in that they inspect not just inspections required under permits, they also inspect for complaints.
Okay.
And so.
Well, I'm sorry, what I'm trying to get to is, this number of 45 or 5,000, are you getting to all of them, or are there others that we haven't got to? That's the only point I'm trying to make here.
We get to every inspection
Okay.
that is scheduled and requested from a property owner. There
Okay.
are inspections, and I think Councilor Kennedy has brought it up in the zoning subcommittee. There are inspections for rental units where, because the landlord is complaining that they can't get their tenants in, or they're not responsive to our calls for inspections, where those inspections haven't been done in as timely a fashion as we would like. But our staff is working to get those inspections done, and the reason we're not is because the landlords are not being responsive to allowing us into the building.
Okay, thank you for clarification, appreciate it.
Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to Eric Slagle. It's amazing that the report reflects close to 16,000 to 18,000 inspections across the Health Department, Zoning Board, and the Building and Trade Inspectors. My question has to do with the licenses that they must carry. Years ago, we had I think it was a senior building inspector, was able to keep their provisional certification, and it kept renewing a provisional license, but then eventually they ran out of being able to renew it provisionally and didn't get it in a final form, and ended up having to leave the employment of the city. My question is, are all of our inspectors fully licensed at this particular point?
So to be a building inspector, to be a building inspector, or to be a plumbing inspector, or to be an electrical inspector, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you have to be certified at the state level. We currently have, all of our inspectors are currently certified, except for one who was hired, I believe, a month and a half ago, who is in the process of taking the tests. But every other inspector, every other building and trade inspector we have are certified. The health inspectors, they undergo a different certification program. It's the food handling program, and all of our inspectors have taken that. In addition, several of them have taken some more advanced courses on things that you probably don't want to have described. I mean, things like bed bugs, kind of those sanitary code issues. For purposes of the board enforcement agent, the job description that we've laid out requires that that person undergo the same Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions training, and to become certified by that, because they do wetlands enforcement. And we also do send them to citizen planner training information about zoning and planning board enforcement as well.
Thank you.
Well said. Councilor Mercia, then Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the building commissioner. In the report that we got, it said building commissioner, we have one. That would be you.
No, the building commissioner is David Fuller.
Okay.
I'm not on this list.
Oh, you're not on there. But it says we have local building inspectors. We have 4, right?
That's correct.
But we have an electrical inspector. We have 1.5. How do
One
we
full-time
do-
person and one part-time person.
Oh, is that what that means? Okay, good.
He works
'cause I'm-
approximately 18 hours a week.
Okay.
Because we have enough electrical inspections that we need more than one person, but I'm not sure that we have enough that we need 2 full-time inspectors.
That explains it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You indicated, Mr. Slater, that there's individual that have yet to pass or taking the test to be licensed. How much time do we give them, provisional that they get a full-time employment from us?
In the collective bargaining agreement with the inspectors union, they have 6 months. That can be extended by the city if they are, we do that if they are actively taking and passing the tests. There's 3 separate tests that they're required to pass to get fully certified, and sometimes those tests, the test scheduling doesn't work out, so they're all are scheduled in a time where they can take them and pass them all within 6 months. And so as long as they are working and actively taking classes and working towards that certification, we have allowed them to extend past that 6 months. But we, as I say, we haven't had a person that hasn't get fully certified within a year of employment since I've been since I've run the department.
So you are hopeful that this individual will pass the test, hopefully?
I hope so. He is digging into the books, and he's working very hard. He is the first Cambodian American inspector that the department has ever had.
Right.
I think he's going to be a great asset, so we're looking forward to him. And just so you know, during the training phase, he is not out doing inspections by himself. He is going with another licensed and certified inspector during his training so he can observe and that there is a certified inspector on site.
Thank you for the information.
Councilor Elliott, are you all set? Okay. Thank you. Councilor Kennedy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Slagle. So you mentioned that we are not able to do the inspections of all the apartments within a 3-year period.
We haven't gotten to all the apartments in the 3-year period.
And
That's
you
correct.
said that sometimes that's because the landlords won't let us in to do the inspection.
And the reasons for that vary from my tenant is not allowing us in right now to I'm not around. I mean, they come up with a lot of different reasons.
So then what happens?
Well, then we give them a certain number of times within which we call and attempt to schedule, and afterwards we start to fine them.
We start to what?
To fine them. Under the ordinance, we're allowed to issue fines against property owners who are not responsive to that.
Now, all of those rental units need occupancy permits, right?
Correct.
So you don't get the occupancy permit if you don't have the inspection.
Well, occupancy permits are typically given when the unit is constructed, so they have an occupancy permit at that time.
When a tenant moves out and a new tenant moves in, are you supposed to get another occupancy permit?
No, we used to have a system where it was called a vacancy permit, where when you turn over one tenant to another, you're required to get a permit.
Right.
That system was done away with, and we installed the new system where it's a 3-year permit that is good for 3 years, regardless of how many tenants you have during that time.
All right, but if we're not inspecting in 3 years and it's spilling over into the 4th year, then you don't have a permit.
They don't have a permit. That is correct.
Okay, and so then they're getting fined. What is the fine?
So under the ordinance, it's like most other general ordinances where we are allowed to fine up to $300 a day. We typically don't do that. We typically fine $300 a week.
Okay. And have we collected on any of those?
Not that I'm aware of. We have not gotten to a cycle where we would be putting those on the tax liens.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thanks.
All set. Thank you. Next, we have marijuana revenues. Madam Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was discussed, I believe it was last week, in connection with a matter before the council, where the council voted on earmarking or dedicating 25% of the tax, and the question came up about an explanation of the tax. So Mr. Slagle has prepared that explains the 3% tax, local tax that goes to the general fund, as well as the 3% impact fee, and the specific uses that must be made of that 3%. So it's 6% total, but as far as the impact fee, there are specific uses, first responder programs, the Board of Health initiatives, drug abuse prevention, drug education programs, traffic mitigation, increased patrols, street shopper programs. There's just, the list goes on. And so long as the city demonstrates that money that comes in from that 3% is being utilized for any or all of these costs or expenses to the city, then we're using that money properly.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The part of this report that I was a little bit disappointed in, the 6% of gross marijuana sales, so 3% is from local tax revenue, but the 3% community impact fee, which has to be used for a specific purpose like police detail or whatever, after 5 years, that goes away.
That's under the law currently.
And I'm sorry to hear that it goes away.
You know, I think there's going to be a push for that to be extended, perhaps in the legislature, because I think once we're underway, communities are going to realize that the impact doesn't go away. And so, but right now, the way the law was written, it's a 5-year community impact
So if
fee.
someone is here within earshot that is an elected official in the state area, we would really appreciate if that would continue after 5 years. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Council Mercia's remarks are very subliminal.
Did you catch on? Thank you. I need a motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Cirillo. Thank you. Next, we have the communication, accept the resignation of Patricia Sullivan Talty from the Lowell Housing Authority. I need a motion to accept and place on file.
So
by
moved.
Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Elliott. Next, we have communication, appoint Philip L. Shea to Lowell Housing Authority to fill unexpired term of Patricia Sullivan Talty. I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
By Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Conway. Roll call.
Council Conway.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy. Yes. Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mr. Shea is sitting out there along with Mr. Flanagan, both who are class of 59, my class, Lowell High School. I just want to make one statement. I was only 10 when we all graduated. Mr. Shea, please come forward. You do believe that, correct?
Well, thank you, Mayor Samaras. I was sitting here looking at this chamber just as you were going through the agenda, and time was racing. And I first entered this chamber 1970, sat where Councilor Milonazo is sitting. Late Senator Songas sat to my left, where Councilor Noon sits, and the former mayor, Ellen Sampson, sat to my right. And that's the first time I spoke in this chamber. The last time I spoke in this chamber was 1974, when I left to, I served as a councilor and a state rep for a year, as I told Senator Kennedy. That's a long story between Paul Songas and myself, but I lost the flip going. And then I was just looking at the manager, who I thank very sincerely for this appointment. And I was thinking of how many former senators sat here once upon a time. And I think in the last 80 years, I think the answer is 4. Councilor Kennedy, now Senator Kennedy, and believe it or not, Michael Gary's grandfather, a product of the acre, former mayor, former state senator. And I was saying, I got to get up and speak in a minute, and I'm not too sure what to say, because I can really look at all of you. Ed, I met 40 years ago when he walked into this chamber. Rodney, I met when he was in school, and Rita, I met in '78. John, I knew as a boy. His father was a great guy. Jimmy Milanazzo, it's like he just was still going to Merrimack College. Vessa, Councilor Cirillo, who I met at Mayor Milanazzo's fundraising party. But I have to just say that thank you for letting me go back to the acre, back to the Housing Authority, to be a member of the board. And I was looking at our city solicitor, who I have a great deal of admiration for. And when I was 10 years old, I was the bat boy of the St. Patrick's Girls High School softball team. And the third baseman on that team was Christine's mother. And it's unbelievable, but over in the North Common, there'd be 200 or 300 people that would show up to watch the women softball team. And Ann Charity was the pitcher, and she went on to be a nun. And yeah, so I was just reflecting as I sat here. The mayor, I go back with him when I was 15. We were sophomores in high school together. So yes, I am really old. And time has passed, but I just want to thank you for an opportunity to go back, as I really think, growing up in the acre, living in public housing on Lewis Street with my mother, who was a widow with 4 kids, I just think it put me on a path which, as it turned out for myself and my family and my 10 grandchildren, I think it put me on a path, the right path. And I'm very, very grateful for your vote, and particularly to the city manager for this appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have to appoint Caleb Shang to Planning Board as associate member. I need a motion to adopt by Councilor Conway, second by Councilor Noon. Roll call.
Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have a communication reappoint. Yes, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say Mr. Chang could not be here. There was a miscommunication, and he's actually out of the country, but he's very excited about serving. I think his resume in the packet shows his qualifications, but he would have otherwise been here.
Thank you. Next, we have communication reappoint Kathleen Cutter-Luda to the Board of Health. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Conway. Roll call.
Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Cirillo.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Next, we have votes from the city manager. Vote to accept a gift from the Vincent J. Gallagher Middle School PTA in memory of Lieutenant Patrick Burns for use by the police department. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Authorize the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the Vincent J. Gallagher Middle School PTA of Smithfield, Rhode Island of $50 in memory of Lieutenant Patrick Burns for the use by the Lowell Police Department Community Outreach Program. Motion to adopt by
Move to
Councilor
adopt.
Kennedy, second by Councilor Cirillo. Roll call.
Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
And next, we have a vote to authorize city manager to enter into contract with construction management at-risk firm, the Hamilton Canal District Parking Garage Project, waive the full reading, second reading by title, authorize use of the construction management at-risk firm, the Lowell Hamilton Canal District Parking Garage Project. Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Council Kennedy, second by Council Conway. Roll call.
Wait, Mr. Mayor,
I'm sorry. Elliott.
thank you. Through you to city manager. So, Madam Manager, what does this do, what does this contract or this, and I'm going to support it, but what does it do to the existing design? I know we spent, we're going to be using the existing structure or, excuse me, the existing design and moving forward, make adjustments to it?
That is expected under this method of construction. The construction manager at risk comes on board, the construction company comes on board, and will participate in that potential redesign for cost savings and also having as many spaces preserved. I know Diane Trad is here to speak specifically to it, but that will likely result in some portions not the entire garage.
Okay, no, that's
But
what
there
I
would
mean.
be some adjustments to the garage that are being looked at and discussed. But again, rather than just having the architects or our consultants making changes, you'll have the CM at risk as well as the construction firm at the table as well.
That's good to know. I didn't think we were going back to the drawing board because we spent, how much have we spent on design? It's 100% design.
It is at 100%. Let me just ask. I think there's been somewhere in the vicinity of $2 million spent to date.
No, I think this is good moving forward in this direction. The design bid build is, perhaps it's good for some other projects, but I think moving forward, knowing that the cost that this project came in at, it needs to be scaled back or a different construction process needs to be used to save some money on it, and this is the approach.
Yeah,
So,
but we do expect the bulk of the design to be preserved. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so.
thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Council Conway.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Council Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have vote authorize filing Article 97 special legislation for New Lowell High School. Waive the full reading, second reading by title. Approving the filing of special legislation which will authorize the use of certain air rights over parcels of land as described, more particularly below, which currently contain public fields, athletic facilities, and facilities pertaining thereto, for the purpose of construction of pedestrian bridges as part of a new high school and incidental purposes thereto. Need a motion to adopt by
So
Councilor
moved.
Conway, second by Councilor Kennedy. Discussion, Councilor Elliott.
Does this have to go through the same process as the last process, i.e., it doesn't have to do with the Board of Parks, so it doesn't have to go to Board of Parks, but conservation?
Doesn't have
or-
to go to the Board of Parks, but it does have to be legislation filed, home rule petition with the legislature, and go through the process there. It has to do with just air rights.
Right.
There is, I believe, an easement that exists for one of the bridges, but if we want to move one of the others, it's just a matter of getting air rights from DCR and over the canal.
Got it. That's good, thanks.
Further discussion? All set. Roll call.
Council Conway.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Council Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have orders from the city manager. Waive full reading, second reading by title. Pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6, therefore entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations are hereby implemented for a period of up to 60 days. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor
So
Noon,
moved.
second by Councilor Mercia. Any discussion? Roll call.
Council Conway.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Council Cirillo.
Yes.
It's 9 yeas.
We have a report of the Subcommittee Transportation Subcommittee, February 4th. We have a report by Council Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Transportation Subcommittee met last night in response to a 60-day traffic pattern that had expired on February 20th, and that was regarding Merrill Drive. 60-day, this was actually the third 60-day trial that had expired. So there was a discussion. We had a number of residents, Council Cirillo, Council Conway, myself, along with City Councilor Rita Mercy was in attendance, again, along with other residents. So the traffic engineer gave a good description and historical background on what has taken place, where we're at, and where we're going. Now, the motion came before the City Council as a result of concerns from residents on Merrill cutting through to Fairmount. The traffic engineer reported, they did a traffic count in MCOG, reported 250 cars cutting through on Merrill, and essentially to avoid the traffic on Rogers Street. 3% of that were trucks, there were, as well as buses. So there were a number of motions came out of that subcommittee meeting. But the first thing that the traffic engineer is going to do is to request through this app called Waze, the organization that runs Waze. It's a GIS app that folks use to navigate home, as well as Google Maps. The city's going to submit an application to allow the city to change routes. So when someone goes to put an address in there to get home, there are going to be certain routes that they're not going to be able to go through. And we're going to use that not only for some of the construction projects, but certainly on something like Merrill Street that's being used as a cut through, not only for residents that are not non-residents, I should say, as well as commercial vehicles. That was in the form of motion. I believe she's just going to work with the law department, the manager's office, but that was just a point of information. Other motions made by Councilor Cirillo, second by Councilor Conway was number one, that we continue with no commercial vehicle traffic. There is a sign up now, but the location of the sign, Madam Manager, is not very visible. But that is, they'll continue no through traffic for commercial vehicles. The second motion was that the city look into local traffic only. I know it's going to be placing a sign, local traffic only. It's been done in other communities. We understand that enforcement of that local traffic will be a challenge, but for non-residents, they'll get the message that it's not to be used as a cut-through street. And I thought I had a third motion. The third motion was to look at lowering the speed limit on Merrill Drive from what it possibly could be now, from 30 down to 10 to 15 miles an hour. So those were the three motions that were brought forward. It was a good meeting. Residents spoke. They were pleased that the traffic count has decreased significantly, and especially in light of the construction that's going to take place on Rogers Street at various intersections. It'll be good to be vigilant. The police have been there, and traffic has been better. By the way, Rogers Street has 26,000 cars a day, so that is clearly one of the reasons why people are trying to cut through to get home. So with those three motions, Mr. Mayor, that's a report of progress from the Transportation Subcommittee to be adopted by the City Council.
I need a motion to accept the report as a report of progress
So-
and adopt the motion by Councilor Kennedy,
So
second by
moved.
Councilor Cirillo.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Kennedy.
Are we voting on the three motions that were recommended as and are we doing that as a bundle or individually?
I was just doing it as a
Just to-
bundle, but
Yeah, I believe the motion was to accept the report of progress and adopt the motion as outlined.
And
by-
adopt the motion?
And adopt the motions, Council.
Okay, so could I just get clarification on what's going to be allowed and what isn't going to be allowed for the TV audience, I guess? Because there's been a little bit of confusion, and we have done different things with that street over the past several months. So my understanding, and maybe the traffic engineer can verify this, is that The only thing that will be, the only traffic that will be prohibited from Merrill will be commercial traffic. Is that right?
Yeah, I would ask at the subcommittee last night that there have been some confusion, so as we did last night, perhaps the traffic engineer can walk through the 3 trial, because one was for no commercial, then there was a stop sign, and then there was a one-way, so I think that's a good point made.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so as Councilor Elliott said, there have been a number of 60-day trials on Merrill Drive. Ultimately, what was decided is that commercial vehicle restriction will be continued from both ends. So that's actually going to go on the quarterly memo, which you all should see before you, if not next meeting, the meeting after that. The stop sign at the top of Merrill Drive off onto Fairmont, that 60-day trial will also be on the quarterly memo, so both of those things will be enacted full-time. The last 2 motions are things that I have to look into, just determine what the AASHTO regulations would be for the speed limit for a street that narrow and that steep, and figure out what the appropriate speed limit would be to post. Once I determine that will also have to be a 60-day trial, because it'd be a special speed regulation. And then looking into whether we can enact a local traffic only ordinance, which we don't currently have, or trying to figure out how we would enact that and how the police would enforce that. So those are 2 outstanding things that I need to look into. But
Okay. It's just, my concern was that I know, and I think that there were people down here speaking that were getting tickets or at least warnings.
Yeah, no.
For going up the street, and those people would be able to do that now without it.
yeah, I actually spoke to LPD this morning to let them know they don't need to do any enforcement on Merrill with regards to the through traffic restriction. And I would assume that the no through traffic signs will stay up until the commercial vehicle restriction go up, but people will not be getting tickets in the interim.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Lee, then, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Natasha. Also, I thought that you were going to look into local traffic only strictly enforced.
Oh, yes, correct. With a sign that said strictly enforced underneath it, correct.
Thank you.
Councilor Lee.
Thank you. So the suggestion for the speed limit, is that really, like, I must travel that street every other day, is there?
So I'm going to look at
Issue with
what,
that?
the residents complain about people speeding up the hill and kind of blowing through the stop sign, or what I guess previously did not have a stop sign. If you drive on it, you know it's very steep and very narrow. People should be driving slowly on it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds loud because you're going up the hill, but I didn't realize there was a speeding problem there.
That's what the residents are saying. So I'm just going to evaluate what would be an appropriate speed limit given the grade and the narrowness of the road. And the AASHTO, which is the American Association for State Transportation Organizations, has guidelines for all of that. And I'll just figure out what's appropriate, and we can do a 60-day trial and post that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you. Next, we have petitions, claim, property damage. I need a motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation.
So moved.
By Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Mercia. Then, under miscellaneous, Brandon Matei requests reimbursement for towing charges. I need a motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation. Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Cirillo. Now we have City Council motions. First motion by Councilor Mercia. Resolution that Lowell Veterans Commission be included in any constructive participation in city decisions and activities, and allowed to be provided notification and the opportunity to be heard on any action affecting its veterans. Need a motion to second by Councilor Conway. Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put forward this motion out of respect to the Veterans Council. When I made the motion about the Doughboy, when that came up a few months ago, I was under the belief that all the organizations of the veterans knew about this, and I guess that I was wrong, because one group that was not notified was the Lowell Veterans Council. So out of respect for them, and they had their meeting, and they asked if it could be possible that we could form a resolution that speaks to this motion, that the veterans, when it comes to anything related to veterans, actions affecting veterans, if we could form a resolution and have them notified, and that's strictly the gist of the motion, out of respect for the veterans and how they were overlooked. I didn't mean to do that to any group, but this group was not notified.
Okay, all set. Any further discussion?
If I could have a roll call and ask for the solicitor to prepare the proper vote if it passes. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Counsel Conway.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have two people here. I don't think they're registered to speak, but they're members of the Lowell Veterans Council. That's Jay Gaffney and Billy Sheehan. So, Billy Flanagan, I'm sorry. So that they are here. You didn't want to speak, did you? No.
Yes, please come to the podium.
Councilor Mercier, I want to thank you for bringing the motion forward, and I want to thank the council for the vote. I'm well aware of the record of the council for supporting veterans motions, but I think things may come up from time to time. We are an advisory board where we would be able to lend some support and perhaps some perspective and background. So we appreciate the support.
Thank you.
And also, Mr.
Flanagan.
Mitchell from the council is here.
Oh, I did not see him.
Mr.
Sorry.
Flanagan?
Mr. Mayor, City Councilor, members of the City Council, I'm Bill Flanagan. I've been a member of the Veterans Commission since its creation. I'd like to thank Councilor Mercier for bringing this motion forward. We've been a very active commission within the city structure boards, and we do want to be informed whenever there's anything that affects our commission and our veterans within the city. As you know, we have a very active system where we recognize veterans within the city for their accomplishments. We'll continue to do that. Recently, a veteran within Lowell passed away, George Shirley. One footnote to his life: he witnessed the raising of the flag on Mount Suribachi in Japan. He eyewitnessed it through binoculars from a ship that he was stationed on. That's a fact of history that's lost. But that deed will go on within the life of his family. And I'm sure there's many veterans that have seen similar deeds. It's amazing the accomplishments of our veterans from Lowell through history that has served, that goes back. I recently read a book that told of the accomplishments of veterans that go back to the Revolutionary War. And we have to remember the accomplishments and the achievements of Lowell's veterans that go back to the creation of our great country. And that's what our Veterans Commission is accomplishing, to recognize the achievements of the veterans from Lowell. We have great deeds that they have accomplished, and through the efforts of the Lowell City Council, these deeds will always be recognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next, we have motion by Councilor Elliott. Request Parks and Recreation Subcommittee meet to discuss renaming the park of Branch Street to the Palin
Second.
Park. Second by Councilor.
Thank you. This motion was on a little while ago, and I was actually at the Board of Parks this past month on something else, and this is just a motion that we'd like to refer to the Parks and Subcommittee, Parks and Rec Subcommittee. I know this requires the Board of Parks approval, but I think it's important to have a discussion. At the time when this was first filed by myself and I believe Councilor Noon, there was thoughts that there were concern in the Hispanic community. I've been in constant communication with them. They're very happy with the new park that the city dedicated Roberto Clemente Field. And in fact, they're having a tournament this summer. They're hosting eight Little Leagues from various parts of from Puerto Rico to Dominican Republic, Argentina, they're all coming here. So they're thrilled, first and foremost. So there is no opposition to this renaming. And secondly, the park really is used by a large number of Cambodian people in the city. And they would just like to rename the park, Pineland Park, and they make up a third of the population. And so there's no opposition. In fact, the organization, the Latino community supports this. So I just thought it was important to send it to the Park Subcommittee for a referral, and then naturally it requires Board of Parks approval.
Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mayor Samaras. Also, before I start, I want to recognize because the Clemente Roberto Park was actually asked to be named by then Councilor Phil Shea, who's in the room, in 1973. It's been a long time, and Mr. Roberto Clemente, he's done so much for the Latino, the Puerto Rico and Latin American community, and so we really feel that park was at one point for baseball only. Since then, there's influx of immigrant, particularly the Cambodian American who's here now. The park is like treated as a social and cultural fabric of that community. It turned now to volleyball and bocce, believe it or not. They're not Italian, but they play bocce. They enjoy it, and the light turn on, and they play, and in wonderful summer, you would have at least 100 people, young and old, playing in that park. And Councilor Elliott is correct, because recently the city named a park or field behind Bartlett School to Roberto Clemente baseball field. And I filed a motion a couple months ago to urge the city managers, maybe through the administration, to find looking for earmark to give light to that park as well, because they do need park. Those kids need park, need light to play baseball and place to go. So I hope that we can help in terms of finding some earmark to fix the light in that park, Roberto Clemente baseball field. And Councilor Elliott is also correct that we did spoke to the Roberto Clemente baseball committee. There have been dialogue is going on, and they are in support of it, and some work is still going on, and send this to the subcommittee that chaired by Councilor Murcia to get input and to hear from the people. This is the right things to do. So I'm in full support of this, and thank Councilor Elliott for bringing the motion back up, and we hope that we get the support of the council. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to offer this little piece of trivia. In the history of Major League Baseball, which is well over 100 years, there is only one person who has ever hit a in-the-park, walk-off, grand slam home run, and that person is Roberto Clemente.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We learn something new every night.
Roll call. Get a roll call.
Roll call? What's the roll call?
Council Conway.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Council Cirillo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have by Councilor Cirillo, request city manager have the proper department look into the city of Lowell forming a partnership with the Kerouac Project of Orlando, Florida. Council, need a second?
Second.
Councilor Noon. Councilor Cirillo.
Hi, yes. Thanks to John Sampis, Jack Kerouac's brother-in-law, this cottage, which is now part of the Kerouac Project of Orlando, is where he and his mother shared a little room apartment in the back of the house from July 1957 to spring of 1958. It is now used for a writer in residency project. Jack Kerouac was there when his classic On the Road was published, and where he typed the original manuscript of his sequel, Dharma Bums. So I was hoping that the city of Lowell could reach out in some capacity to the Kerouac project and see how we can partner. We have the Kerouac Festival. Maybe we can invite them. So I'm not too sure how that partnership would look, but if the city could reach out to the Kerouac project of Orlando, Florida, I think that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Thank you. Announcements. Councilor Noon.
Mayor, thank you very much. Just want to share with my fellow councilor and the administration. Last Saturday, the Lowell Community Health Center, they had a summit. It's led by youth and participant was all youth. As you have about 70, 80 kids. The conference called Revolution Summit. And this young lady, she's 17 years old, Vickiana Petit Home. She's an executive director of the March for Life in Boston. 17 years old, executive director, and still in high school, Boston Latin. She was an amazing keynote speaker. And all those kids sit there and they were like, really pay attention. Usually kids don't really pay attention. They find something else or playing or text each other or whatnot. They did. They pay close attention to this young lady. And Sue Levine, executive directors of Lowell Community Health, have done a great job in bringing this kid together. And after about, I say, half an hour's of speakers and whatnot, the group break into small group. And big group break into small group. They talk about a lot of issues that really, that we talk about. Substance abuse, bullying, and so many other. And they come back and they reconvene. And I hope that the group of kids, the nonprofit group of kids that participate in this is you have Boy and Girl Club, you have Girl Inc., you have CMAA, and you have people from the Adam Project, the Adam Dance group, something like that. They did a fantastic dance. I know Councilor Mercia would love it. And so that said, I just want to add that you, Mayor, a while back I filed a motion asking that we form a Mayor Youth Commission. I know that you're working on it, and I will help you, move this faster, because I think this group's going to have not the first summit, they're going to have annual summit, and to have Mayor Youth Commission, they started in Boston about 3 years ago. They're doing really well, so if we can do that, that'd be great. So I'll work with you, Mayor, to make sure that we get this going. So, I congratulate the Lowell Community Health Center, Sue Levine, and the teen block for their great work this past Saturday. So, thank you.
No, that was good information. I also have an invitation for everyone. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium is the launch of the Lowell Quarter. As part of America the Beautiful Quarter Series, a national park in each state will be depicted on its own quarter. And I'm proud to say that the national park site chosen for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is none other than our own Lowell National Historic Park. So please stop by and watch the event and get your own roll of quarters. You have to pay for it. All children who are in attendance will receive a free quarter, while adults are able to exchange cash in $10 increments up to $100. I think it's going to be quite an event. It's something particular to Lowell and something we're very proud of. So hope to see you all there. Any further announcements? Motion to adjourn? Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Noon.